Hello and welcome to the Utopia Restoration podcast. We are now on Series 2, Episode 3, and this time I was in Norfolk and I was talking to Terry Hayward of Hayward Revive and popped over for a chat and a full tour of the workshop. There is some YouTube content on this and some Instagram ones, so if you are interested in what it looks like inside, make sure you head over to our YouTube and onto our Instagram. Admittedly, in this podcast, we did try and get somewhere quite quiet, but it is a full-on working workshop, and when we were there, I think inside there was about maybe 10 cars were being worked on, maybe slightly less than that. But yeah, so there may be some noises in the background which are workshop related, but it was a really good chat and a fantastic place. And some of the work they did on Land Rovers was absolutely impeccable. So yeah, it's a fantastic place and a great chat with Terry. So I'm going to stop talking and we're going to jump right in. Right, here we go. Good morning. So I'm joined by Terry from Hayward Revive. And yeah, we're in this fantastic location surrounded by, I don't even know how many Land Rovers do you think you have here at the moment?
I think probably 35, 40,
Yeah,
maybe 50 hidden
I
away.
think that sounds about right. Maybe 50 with the Range Rover turning up today.
Exactly.
But yeah, so for people that don't know, do you want to introduce yourself and introduce what the business does?
Certainly. So, Terry Hayward. The business is Hayward Revive. We mainly restore and refurbish classic Land Rovers.
Yeah, and you've definitely got a lot of those
And
here.
we've got a lot of those around.
So can we go a bit into like the history of how this all started? Because it's quite an established business, and I was driving around the last few days in Norfolk whilst we've been on holiday here. And I think I was in Burnham Market taking pictures of Land Rovers.
Yeah.
I was in Thornham taking pictures of Land Rovers, and almost everyone you responded to saying, "Oh, I know that
We
one.
know
I've
that one,
serviced that
exactly.
one. I've worked on it." And so, how did you get to sort of being able to service every Land Rover in Norfolk?
Well, good question. Again, when I was younger, my father had Land Rovers. He was in the motor vehicle trade. The Land Rover, I always remember, is a Series 2A.
Yeah.
It was a recovery vehicle.
Okay.
The crane's still outside, actually. That chassis I showed you earlier. So, so we still have that crane left. One day we are going to restore that Land Rover
Yeah.
with what's left of it. Anyway, yeah, he had Land Rovers, and it's just the passion's grown from there, really.
Yeah. So him having a recovery one, was that because he works and owns a garage?
Yeah, so we worked and owned a garage, did mainly body work. The Land
Yeah.
Rover was there to recover damaged cars. And yeah, my earliest memories are being in Land Rovers. So I kind of got into the skin, really.
And I can't imagine at that time the Land Rover was picking up many Land Rovers. You know, it was other British.
it was
things that breaking
mainly
down.
British, Leyland cars and those sort of things.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Other British cars. that
other
comes
British cars.
So that's sort of what got you into it. So then the business itself, Hayward Revive.
Yeah.
How did that sort of come about, and when did you decide to start?
So when I was younger, I started working for him when I left school. A few small career changes, went to work for another independent Land Rover dealer. And when I was about 23, I just decided I had enough and started on my own
Give it a go.
and gave it a go.
So when it started, was it just you working on Land Rovers?
It was just me. My brother used to work for me as well,
Oh, nice.
and we worked together for 10, 15 years. He's gone off doing what he's done.
He's also stayed within Land Rovers, though, hasn't
Stayed
he?
within Land Rovers, yeah, working at main dealers.
Part of the blood.
And and so the business itself has grown from there.
Yeah. So when did you sort of start to, because you're now in this fantastic premises, when did you sort of start to expand and see that things were really getting out of hand for you?
So probably about 10 years ago, we were doing a lot more servicing,
Yeah.
the more repair side, some restoration, but it was my main passion. I had no interest in the servicing side.
No.
I realise some people do, but it's not my thing.
Yeah.
Doesn't interest me at all.
Well, your restorations that you do, we've seen some out the front, and there'll be some on YouTube and Instagram. But yeah, they're immaculate, and they're,
Yeah.
I think, quite a very good homage to what Land Rovers used to be. They are improved ones, of course, with, say, power steering or electrical
Yeah, well,
power
the
steering and
upgrades.
some of them, yeah.
That's it.
But they're still very original, aren't they? They're not...
Yeah,
sort of
we're
like-
trying to keep that authentic look, updating where we need to.
Yeah.
But again, we're not into the bolting on the larger wheels or too much inside.
Yeah.
Trying to keep a pure vehicle.
Yeah, they're still very usable. And
Yeah, and one that's
very Land Rover at heart.
all about having fun.
Yeah.
And living the lifestyle.
So out of all the ones that you've got here today, out of the 50 that you've got, could you say which one's your favourite one that you've worked on so far?
I think one of the favourites is definitely the yellow 109 stage one.
Yeah,
The
which is
Charger.
very cool. Well, even featured in Land Rover Monthly.
That's it, in Land Rover Monthly, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a really big fan of that vehicle. We were almost let loose with it so we could do what we wanted,
Right.
which is a nice thing.
And it actually has working aircon, which I think
Yeah,
is
so
probably a
it's
first
yeah, it's
for
got all
any Land Rover.
actually works for a change, yeah.
Can actually be cool inside of it. So what is your personal car history? What cars have you owned throughout the past? And
so my first Land Rover, my first car, was an 88-inch Series 1.
Very nice.
XPW 133, which I'd love to find again, but
there you go.
That is
it there. If anyone knows about it, or hears it.
And then it's always been Land Rovers over the years, various discoveries. I went through that phase in the late 90s, I guess.
Yeah.
Sounding old now. So it was 200 and 300 discoveries, a few Range Rovers, and then various other cars along the way, boring stuff.
Oh, go on, what's the boring stuff?
Boring stuff. Ford Orions, Peugeot 306s.
It's very boring.
All period. Real passion for BMWs as well. Had a BMW E30 320 IS,
nice.
Which was the the M3 engine.
Yeah.
Unfortunately sold that. And then
imagine that moved.
It did move out, yeah. Very nice car. Very, very nice car. And then just at the minute, Discovery 3.
Yeah. It's TDV6.
That's it, yeah, that is the towing vehicle.
Yeah, respectable.
Drags everything around. I always said I'd never have one because they are a nightmare when they go wrong, but it's been the most reliable car I think I've ever had.
Yeah.
Which is
bizarre.
Bizarre.
You sure it's a Land Rover?
I was just going to say, I'm waiting for it to go wrong.
Yeah. Touch wood. There should be something around that it's not going to go. That's quite interesting. Yeah, I quite like the TDV6s. There's been a lot of talk about those sort of recently where there may be sort of a bit of a family car and things like that, not a proper Land Rover, but people have sort of come around that actually they're pretty usable.
Amazingly a good car. I hate to say it. I really hate to say it. It's disgusting. Yeah, no, anything pre-2000 is not my thing normally, but...
So then you do like Discovery, but of course you like some of the classics.
Yes.
So it goes on to the question of if you could only have one Land Rover forever, what would it be?
I think the dream vehicle is going to be an 86 or 88 Series 1. I think that's... Obviously you'd have to ruin it and upgrade everything.
Won't be doing many motorway miles down to Chichester though.
No, definitely not. But no, obviously, I'd have to disc brakes, power steering, all the good as we do.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is the vehicle. I think that's because that's the first vehicle I ever had.
Yeah. I think
that's what it goes back to.
I think they're interesting as well now because they always were they are very much older cars now.
Yeah.
But I seen one recently next to a Series 3 and you sort of see them, admittedly you don't have a rooftop and folded down, but you're like, just looks so diddy now in comparison to any road cars, don't they?
Modern cars are huge. Yeah, modern cars are huge. They dwarf Land Rovers.
Yeah, it means you've got good parking spaces, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Like, trying to fit the Range Rover in a car parking space, you fit in and the door takes up the space that's left, so you never get out. But you'd have loads of room, especially a soft top as well.
But I need a big car because I'm quite a big guy, so...
Yeah. So that's what you got for an 88.
I've got an 88. Yeah, I did always have a thing for 80s, but I just can't fit in them.
No, that's fair enough. Yeah, I think it would be interesting, wouldn't it? Which one? I think a lot of people just go for Defender, don't they? What would you go for as your main?
Yeah, I like Defenders and I love Defenders, but the passion is the Series.
Yeah, I think I'd definitely go for a Series. I think you made a wise choice. So what is your... So currently you've got a lot of projects going on.
Yes.
You've got sales, servicing and restorations. What is your future plans for the business and sort of where do you think it's going to be heading in?
Moving forward, the plan is just to really push the restoration as much as we can. I'm always quite choosy about the word restoration.
Yeah.
I think it gets used too lightly. So we normally try and stick to the refurbishment and restoration. So the refurbishment of the vehicles that we probably won't go as in depth on, so we won't replace every single component.
Yeah.
We'll recondition items, but we won't renew everything. The restorations will normally renew everything.
Yeah.
I think they need to be separated.
Yeah.
Those things. I hate the word rebuild. I think that word is awful. That's my personal feelings. But yeah, that's where we want to move forward. At the minute, we've got the awful cars, as you can see, and most of those come in and they have been restored, shall we say, before.
Yeah.
And again, it's a coat of paint, and that's all you see.
Yeah. So it's quite as in depth.
Not as in depth as we like to go.
No.
So yeah, and it's really trying to separate ourselves maybe from everybody else a little bit. Maybe move more down that classic car side of things.
Yeah.
Obviously, still focus on Land Rovers, but yeah, I think that's the the way we want to go.
And would you say as well, with the sort of the upgrades that you do they maybe sort of fall into the resto mod?
Definitely,
Sort of
yes.
side,
I think the resto mod
disc
really,
brakes,
yeah,
disc brake power steering,
exactly.
electric servo power steering. I saw a Series 2 that you can just turn the steering wheel and the wheels move in situ, which just looks bizarre. But
yeah, no, I think the resto mod is definitely the word.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the phrase, but it is exactly what it is, you know, and it's, I think a lot of it's come from America, those kind of things, they take these older vehicles.
I would definitely say it's a tasteful resto mod, isn't it? Like the stage one that you talked about, the air conditioning that you've actually put into it, which again, the Land Rover with air conditioning is mind blowing, but is very neatly done, and it doesn't look like a bolt-on part or something that's just been added, does it? It's all
exactly. Yeah, the idea again is not to use a simple off-the-shelf Defender unit. You know, that'd be far too easy.
Yeah.
We couldn't do that. So yeah, we again designed a whole heater box, height assembly, which filters straight through the car, different ducting, and it's invisible.
Yeah, and I think it's well designed in terms of like Land Rover design, isn't it? That it's practical and it works, and it doesn't need to be anything else. You don't have a milled aluminium box. It's just very simple, very plain, but looks original in the engine. Which I think is the sort of the right level of restoration that some Land Rovers need at the moment, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. So we could obviously, in an ideal world, we'd go even deeper and we'd spend even more money, but we are bound.
Yeah.
You know, it's down to budget and what people are prepared to pay.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is always the biggest problem.
Also, what is the maybe not the largest budget, but what is the most, say, like free roaming client that you've had where you've just been able to go wild in what you wanted to do?
Well, we can get nearly 200 grand if we start getting, you know, too deep into vehicles.
Yeah.
I would say the average vehicle's 65 to 85,000, which is a, you know, absurd amount of money spent on Land Rover.
Yeah. But the product you get is going to last for another 40 years.
Yeah, the idea is the product will last. Obviously, we back it up with a warranty.
Yeah.
So yeah, any problems, you know, we're there straight away to sort it out.
So do they come lifetime warranty?
We give 3 years on them.
Okay, 3
but
years.
it's a very loose 3 years.
Yeah.
So you know, if anything ever goes wrong,
yeah,
it gets sorted out.
And like the Land Rovers, so something will go wrong at some point, won't it?
Of course. Yeah, of course.
So you said that the Stage 1's been one of your favourite builds at the moment, but is there one that sort of has stood out for you in the past where you got complete free reign just to do sort of what? Again,
the stage when we had a lot of free, you know, reign, we could do what we wanted there. We also did the Bremont Lightweight, which was a very interesting car. It came in for a accident damage, and it's just carried on from there and turned into a bright orange lightweight.
Yeah, I mean that is fantastic, isn't it? The colour that it's gone with, and it does work somehow.
Amazingly it works really well.
Do it, but seemingly can take on any colour and they work very well, don't they?
Yeah, I have to admit, even I wasn't sure about the colour at the time. We had, you know, samples everywhere of different colours. Giles, he picked the colour he wanted. We did some test cards again, and it worked really well.
Yeah, and they're lightweights are an interesting one, aren't they? Especially in restoration, because I think you mentioned that they're so flimsy because they would be picked up by a head.
Because they're designed to be stripped down. Nothing's built substantially, so you know we get a lot of problems with panels cracking.
Yeah.
So again, it's reinforcing these panels and trying to make it so it won't deteriorate over time.
Yeah, well, it's almost museum worthy, isn't it? It's now parked next to a 70s F1 car, isn't it?
Yeah,
so it's in good company. But yeah, that's a fantastic build that you did.
Yeah, so I went down to the Bremont factory a little while ago and had a tour and saw the vehicle down there. And so with regards to the engineering they do, it really complements each other really well.
Yeah, it's stunning. And they haven't put Bremont rally clocks on the dash yet?
Not yet, but there is talk of it.
I was surprised. I did have a look at those this morning and thought those would be very cool then.
Yeah, aren't they? That has been. And we actually are about the Bremont clock in the upcoming vehicles as well. Oh, wow. So the actual clock from the rally clocks. The plan is to add some of those on the right builds.
That would be very cool.
Which would be quite cool.
Yeah, that would make it stand out quite a lot, wouldn't
it?
Yeah. Yeah, so far you've had quite an expansive Land Rover career, haven't you?
Yeah.
And so what would you say is your proudest moment so far, or your biggest accomplishment?
It's very hard to measure.
Yeah. Would you sort of say when you sort of realise you could start to expand and you say...
I think it's about expanding. As long as I can keep doing what I enjoy, then I'm happy. You know, it's not about probably building big fancy vehicles. It's about enjoying what we're doing and having people appreciate what we're doing.
Yeah.
I think that's more recognition than anything, really.
Yeah, and I think that's what's really important, isn't it? Is it's the understanding the value And although, the budgets may be high and it may be sort of 60, 70 grand, but that is how much it costs to have a team in England working on it with British parts.
And
with
I don't
things that
think
you've
people
made.
appreciate how long it takes to do a vehicle properly.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing. We can be 6 months to a year on a car, and if you've got 3-4 people working that vehicle, obviously everyone is paying, and that's when budgets run away. And the days of these £20,000-25,000 vehicles,
It's gone.
you can't do it. Can't buy the parts for that.
And I think as well with Land Rovers, it's maybe say if you're talking like old Aston Martins or old Lamborghinis, people can see that they're very different,
yes.
they're very intricate. But I think that maybe the misconception is because Land Rovers are simple, it should be easy to work on them.
Yes.
But it might be not to say easy, but it's just time consuming, isn't it? To do something properly,
Yes.
as opposed to doing it sort of quickly, does take that attention to detail and that time to fully do it.
Exactly. And when we price jobs or work on jobs, we normally price them in weeks as opposed to days or hours because it can be so time consuming.
Well, like you've got your own in-house paint shop, don't you, as well? So I imagine like even just the things like that, like going through the prep, going through the stages, is very different, say, taking it to someone else or doing it outsourced. And because you just do Land Rovers, of course we know the
problems, we know what we're going to find. Paint's a prime example. It really is. Like a lot of the time, it's more cost effective to replace panels than it is even trying to repair them.
Yeah.
Corrosion on Land Rovers is obviously its biggest issue. And no matter what, you just can't get rid of it. And there's nothing worse than spending 3-4 weeks painting the vehicle and for a year to come back again.
Yeah.
So it's all about preventive maintenance more than anything.
Yeah, making sure that they're staying on the road for as long as possible.
Which again, when we do all these restorations, again, it's the galvanising, it's the zinc coating, it's trying to prevent any further problems as much as you can.
Yeah. Well, so being on the coast, of course, very close to the sea, it's not the easiest. Have you had any bad stories of corrosion with Land Rovers or people maybe using it as sort of on the slipway and it goes a bit...
We have had a lot use as boats, obviously.
Yeah.
There are a lot that get drowned by the sea. But so far, everyone's still going.
Yeah.
But again, it's down to the galvanising.
Yeah.
And it's a good test environment, obviously, because we can see the effects that corrosion does have on vehicles.
Yeah, definitely get a lot of it.
If we were more centrally based in the country, we probably wouldn't see it quite so much.
No, definitely not. Well, I think there you go. You have it. You have created corrosion-proof Land Rovers if they're
as much as they can be. Anyway. First thing, every year we'll see some cars. They'll come back. They'll probably come out of a holiday home.
Yeah.
And we can see what's happened. Well, they've stood there for a year, and most of the time, there is some corrosion coming through, but it's nothing that can't be treated.
Yeah, or sort of light surface things.
Yeah, it's due to the galvanising, so it'll go a little bit white, it'll go a little bit crusty.
Okay.
But you can save it. The bodywork normally stays really well. Again, good waxes, good treatments.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key, really.
Yeah, is knowing how to look after and care for it.
And we've done a lot wrong, so we know. I think you have to make a lot of mistakes to get to a point where you know how to do things correctly.
Well, yeah, you've built up the knowledge now, haven't you, of how to sea-proof Land Rovers. So.
Yes, well, fingers crossed.
To some extent.
Give it another 10-15 years, we'll see.
See how long they last, truly. So what exciting projects do you have coming in, or what projects do you want to work on? Is there a dream project that you have in mind that no one's brought to you yet, or is that coming in soon?
I think they're all slowly coming in. It's very hard to say what a dream project is. It's going to be series based, no matter what it is. We've got some interesting developments we're just making on what we're calling our Revive Classic range, which is the Series 1s, 2s and 3s. So when we're doing these classic resto mods, we try and run as many standard parts as we can. So the idea being if it broke down in Norfolk, anywhere in the UK or anywhere abroad, the part can be changed quite easily.
Yeah.
So we're going to be the plan is to run four-wheel drive on some of the Series 2s and 3s, which means we can use a standard Defender gearbox. We can run disc brakes and all the upgrades to make them usable.
Building on the sort of the Revive range that you're creating for the series, as of course it is podcast unless you're watching on YouTube. Could you sort of describe what they look like aesthetically? So mechanically, you're saying that they've got the new Defender.
So the idea is that they will be they're going to be upgraded and try to be kept serviceable as much as we can. So we use Defender upgrades as the parts are more readily available, such as gearboxes and those kind of things. But otherwise, they'll look a standard vehicle.
Yeah.
You know, the exterior, the interior, we're keeping it quite simple.
Yeah.
You know, we put leather seats in. We're going to have upgraded clocks and dials, but fundamentally, it is the same car to look at.
Yeah. So they're not too deviated.
They're not too deviated. No.
We've seen a lot of sort of in there's some out front. They're in Keswick green, aren't they? Or
Yeah.
sort of things like that. I mean, I guess it's up to the customer if they're going for one of the Revive collections that what colour to go for. I mean, there's plenty of paint samples
Yeah,
on
plenty
the
of
wall
paint
over
samples
here.
there.
Isn't
Yeah, with the Defenders we actually do, we do a lot Keswick green, which is a beautiful colour.
Yeah.
And again, the heritage green as well, we've done a lot of that colour as well.
Yeah.
But again, we try and keep them simple, we don't try and overcomplicate them. You know, most of them are fun, soft top vehicles.
Yeah, made for going to the beach.
Yeah, made to go to the
going for
beach.
nice walks.
It's that lifestyle thing now. It's not, you're not going to want to jump in that vehicle and drive halfway across the country. Well,
No.
you may do.
It is possible.
The option's
but-
there. You know, it would be reliable, it won't break down.
Yeah.
But you know, it's all about again that fun, filling them full of kids, dogs, family.
Yeah. So mechanically, you guys have got a big investment in that, and you fully understand the resto mod side. Aesthetically, there's sort of a bit of a vibe, isn't there?
Yes.
Of the keeping it simple and clean, but it's down to the customer's discretion, really.
It's
So
down to
what
it's down to your
do
personal
you
taste.
want an orange lightweight or a yellow stage one?
That's
You know?
it. Or
Or-
bright red, anything. You can have any colour you want.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just about building vehicles properly,
Yeah. And make sure they're lasting, isn't it?
and that's what it's about.
Yeah. Fantastic. So let's get it going. So, question we've asked everyone so far: £100,000.
Yeah.
You could either do it as any cars or 3-car garage. What are you going for?
Okay, so obviously Series 1,
Yeah. So now 80k.
an 88. Now the budget on that, of course, it's very hard to say. If we left it standard, we could probably stick to 15-ish grand.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Not get too carried away. If I was let loose with it, I could probably spend 100 plus
Yeah.
on it. Definitely Porsche.
Yeah.
I think we'd have to go 911, but probably going to have to be a 997.
Yeah.
A sensible, usable car. And then I've got a real big thing with BMWs. M5 Touring, I think, E34.
Yeah, good choice. I think that's quite.
That's
reasonable
almost
for
a
3-car
practical family car.
garage. Yeah, almost. Apart from fuel prices at the moment, but.
Well, if you've got the £100,000 to spend on that, you can afford fuel.
Yeah. I'll give you that. Yeah, that's fuel for a year, isn't it? £100,000
Exactly.
at the minute.
But yeah, I think that's
It's quite a respectable
cars.
3-car garage.
Cars, you know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even tell you what my wife's got.
Is it embarrassing?
It's embarrassing. Yes.
She doesn't have a Land Rover.
She doesn't know a Land Rover.
I suppose you need to have something that works.
I mean, something reliable and something that doesn't break down.
What should you go for then? You're actually not going to say.
I'll
It's
tell you
like a Kia.
It's a Kia. Desperate, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. But everyone's got their own.
It starts and it goes every day, and that's all that matters.
Well, I mean, yeah, you got to have one working car, don't you, in your Land Rover?
Yeah. Oh, she'd love a Range Rover, but I don't want to fix it every day.
You should get a Range Rover like mine. I've had no problems at all with it, so it's been
Yours
perfect.
must be the only one in
Its
existence.
turbos hasn't exploded. I didn't replace the suspension last week. Don't do oil change on it every 1,000 miles. No, it's fine. I don't know what everyone talks about, and yeah, really cheap to run at the moment. It's
Absolute bargain.
yeah,
But as I said to you earlier, I've got a Discovery 3, and that's amazingly been good. But
there you go. You could have a
I
fleet of
always said I'd
Discoveries.
never have one.
She can maybe get Discovery 4, so slightly more reliable.
Sounds like I'm buying trouble.
The Discovery 3 would get upset.
But saying that, if
No,
I've got a little
correct.
bit left at that 100,000 budget, I might spare $2 grand for a Disco 3 just to.
Yeah, £2 on a Discovery 3 is definitely brave. Isn't it? Don't even think you can really get Discovery 1s and 2s for £2 grand anymore. They seem to be.
Because they're collector's cars.
They seem to be creeping up, don't they? Anyone that's not rusted out is
Really nice car. I do have a soft spot for them, but it's
Yeah.
finding one that's not rotten.
I have been tempted by Discovery 2 recently, I have to say, for sort of maybe a bit more of a bobtail off-roader, is seeing
Yeah.
some of those locally to me. But then Series 3 Range Rover and Discovery 2, you know, it's sort of, I know I should get a Defender at some point, but then that will fit in the middle line, won't it? You know, they're all, Land Rovers are all very different in their own ways, aren't they?
Yeah.
But when you've sort of got 3 off-roaders that all do more or less the same thing, they've got different personalities. Is it a bit too much of an overlap? Or
It's a hard one.
should I portray everyone and get a sports car?
I don't know. See, I think a Discovery 1's a good buy.
Yes, I do like those.
I'm just, especially nice 200.
Yeah. There's some interesting restorations going on at the moment. I think is it Land Rover Sophie's doing a full
Oh yes.
restoration of the Series 1, which I mean is very extensive, but also just goes to show when you take them apart how much corrosion there actually can be.
Yeah, we've done quite a few over the years. Beautiful cars, but the corrosion is absolutely diabolical. And it's the same with Range Rovers. It's the same vehicle basically.
Interesting corroded. I don't know what you're talking about. No, I think they've definitely aged well, especially the very early ones with sort of big plastic fronts. Almost, dare I say it, slightly Range Rover Classic look, isn't it?
Well, fundamentally underneath it's the same car.
Yeah.
So beautiful cars, but yeah, other than the corrosion, absolutely fantastic.
And good interiors as well. Quite like the sort of large dash with a very sort of slimline, isn't it? Almost same again, sort of quite series-like, very basic. Nothing.
I'm quite surprised they haven't actually lifted in value like the Range Rovers have yet.
Yeah.
Whether they're going to, I don't know.
Or maybe it's just because the corrosion problems. If you're
well,
getting one for £3,000,
the less there are, they got worth more.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So maybe that's the tip for today, isn't it? Is have a look at Land Rover.
I think Discovery 1s, maybe, hopefully. Well, have been saying that for several years now.
And if we're really lucky, you can get the Discovery 1 Honda, isn't it? Have you seen those?
Which one's that, sorry?
There's a Discovery 1 that they did with Honda.
Oh,
it's
right.
actually got a Honda badge on it.
Oh, that I did not know. Oh, yes, I think I did know.
Yeah, I think maybe Dunsfold Collection have got one, but I think that's probably it.
They've got some hidden gems, they have.
Yeah, they're bizarre ones. I can't remember why they did it with Honda. I think it was for overseas, was it? Was it for... I think it was something like that. It was maybe for America or for a different market that they ended up partnering with Honda.
Ah.
But just looks very peculiar. The Discovery 1 with the Honda badge in the middle.
I might actually have a Discovery 1 hidden away which came from Japan.
Ooh.
But that's sitting there for another day.
So which Land Rover is that in your Land Rover list? It's not.
They obviously don't exist, any of these Land Rovers.
Okay, sorry, apologies. these are the
as far as the wife is aware, no.
Hidden away.
But yeah, again, hadn't got the heart to break it.
Yeah, they're funny vehicles, aren't they? I think they are sort of they're like the classic. They are the sort of classic heritage look of Land Rovers, aren't they? They're not say like some modification companies do. You are, as it says, revive. You are reviving the Land Rovers.
Yes.
And sort of making them into that sort of one of a usable modern day classic with the sort of resto mod side. But yeah, I think they're fantastic looking, and they do definitely fit, and they're the right aesthetic, I think.
Yeah, and it's nice to obviously we're not scrapping vehicles. The vehicles will live again. Some of the ones we've started with, there's literally nothing left. In fact, the green one I showed you earlier, the Series 2A, that came from Scotland. It had a galvanised chassis at some point in its life, and I think it was the galvanised chassis and the rear tub that was left, and the rest we've managed to salvage.
Yeah, that's very impressive, isn't it? Well, you see, from Scotland's quite far away, isn't it? But you get people that are much further afield than that.
Oh yeah, we get vehicles from Europe, Germany. Get them all over.
Well, I suppose being Norfolk, you're not too far from Germany.
We're not too far, and like I said, most of the time nowadays we don't even see people. It's very rare we have customers actually visit the site.
Yeah.
So most of it's email, WhatsApp, and sometimes we'll never actually speak to people. Oh. We'll have vehicles turn up on low loaders, leave on low loaders.
It's impressive, isn't it?
And it's a lot of trust.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's where maybe, I don't know what you think, but where sort of websites and Instagram, things like that have sort of changed things.
Yes, definitely.
You can then see, and you are posting on Instagram, and I can chase you down and phone you if my Land Rover's disappeared.
Yeah.
Because, not to name any names, but there are modification companies in America where people have sent cars and their cars have gone missing. And you then, how do you deal with that, or how do you do that?
Exactly, you're over barrel. The only downside is sounding old now. Instagram stuff, it can also give people false impressions as well. That's something we have come across, and it does happen nowadays as various companies or smaller companies promoting vehicles, pushing vehicles, and then people aren't getting what they should be getting, which is a concern. From my point of view, I think the motor trade should be governed a lot harder, especially restoration side. From vehicle safety. I think it's a really big thing. The amount of vehicles we get that I would consider unsafe is alarming. So yeah, I think that's my only gripe.
Yeah. So what sort of side, if going into that a bit more on the governance, what sort of side would you like to see?
I'm going to sound really unpopular now, but the whole the MOT scrappage, vehicles over 40 years old, amazing idea, and I'm sure the idea was people with older vehicles would maintain them. But from our experience, it's the exact opposite.
Yeah.
People will, if they can get away without spending any money on a car, they will.
And especially now that it's creeping up, there's many more cars and things are falling into it. You can maybe get into that category, and it's a bit more ambiguous.
Exactly, and of course people are buying vehicles as well, thinking it doesn't need to be MOT'd, therefore it'll be safe, and they're buying vehicles that are unsafe in the first place.
Yeah.
We've seen some horrors recently, absolute horrors. Obviously I can't name names.
No.
But yeah, I wouldn't drive the end of the road in some of the vehicles we've seen.
Oh wow. But then afterwards you will.
No, yeah, of course. But it's people are buying vehicles for £15,000 to £20,000 in the first place, and then it's spending an awful lot more on them.
It needs a lot of work, doesn't it? Especially Land Rovers and things like that.
Yeah.
Older ones generally have had, say, an auxiliary light or something, or a bit of extra wiring, and I imagine you guys have quite a bit of fun of trying to figure out where does this wire go and what does this do. And
sometimes it's just to rip it all out and start again. That's
I can imagine
the way.
It's not. Yeah, well, the wiring looms aren't too complicated,
No,
are they? Especially
not really.
when people have added things, and it gets a bit interesting, isn't it? I've had on mine trying to chase wires and sort of get to the end, and you're like, well, that doesn't end anywhere, but it turns on something over there. So.
And yours is Series 3, so it's even worse. The Series 3 wiring looms are diabolical.
Well, mine's 24 volt fitted for radio, so I've got even more.
So what chance do you stand?
I've got even more cabling and either extra wires that just lead to nowhere and extra radio cables and things like that. So. Yeah, it makes it slightly interesting, doesn't it?
Exactly. Well, I think the old vehicles, they've had a past life, haven't they?
Yeah, so they've got a history and they've got a bit of character, so it makes them different. So we talked about, you've got your restoration, you've got your servicing, but you've also got consignment sales as well, correct?
Yeah, that's right. So we do sell some vehicles. We're quite choosy what we sell, obviously. Yeah. Commonly it's people who have had a revived vehicle and they want to have another one built, or they're selling a Land Rover and getting out of it. But yeah, we do sell vehicles. Demand is very high. So obviously we're always interested in a vehicle if someone's after selling one. Yeah. But again, it is just finding the right vehicles.
Yeah. And do you have any for sale at the moment?
At the minute, none at all.
No, all gone.
Currently looking for good stock.
Yeah.
Which is
if anyone out there
getting harder and harder to find.
Yeah, I can imagine. So do you guys ever take any on for you to restore and sell on, or is it particularly customer?
We always had the intention of restoring vehicles, which is probably now where I've got a huge personal collection.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I imagine they just fall to the
end. They're sitting there,
they?
They fall right to the back. Obviously what normally happens is if we have somebody come in and wants a particular vehicle building, we have got that sitting in stock so we can use that as a base vehicle.
Okay, that's good.
But yeah, there's always the plan there to, every year we say, we'll do 2 Defenders for summer, we'll get them ready. It never happens.
I can imagine, and especially if people are coming in with their rebuilds and their restorations, that probably takes more of a forefront, doesn't it?
Exactly, they've got to get done first. The waiting list is getting longer and longer. We're nearly at 2 years on some vehicles now.
2 years, that's good
which
to get, isn't it?
Just insane.
Yeah.
We appreciate people waiting that long.
Well, it's worth it for the quality of work, isn't it?
Again, that's what it's all about, isn't it?
I think that's really good though, that you've got a stock that if a customer came in, because I know there's a lot of other ones that say people do that, but they'll go and source one, and of course then they'll source whatever's available at the moment, and may either be paying way over list for it, or you're getting something that's sort of okay, but then needs even more work doing to it, doesn't it? Because it's not quite the right base.
No, that's the thing. And so when we buy vehicles and we give costs, the cost is the cost. Often if we find some horrors, we'll swallow it, and that's unfortunately how we do it. Yeah. Firm believer in sticking to what we say.
Yeah, it was very honest way of doing it.
Which isn't necessarily good business sense, but it's the correct way of doing things.
It's the problem with passion businesses, isn't it?
Yeah.
Your accountant may be shouting at you.
Oh yeah, like, money is no interest, it's the vehicles that are the interest.
Well yeah, and if you're sort of the view of you're only as good as your last build, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whatever
that's
needs
it,
to be done.
It's always moving forward. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Building vehicles so that people can be happy with, and we want people to tell others how they're happy with the vehicle that they're built.
Yeah.
We don't advertise that heavily. We don't need to. Most of it is word of mouth, recommendations.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic, isn't it? And that's still very much the homage of the old Land
Yeah, and
Rovers.
it's
still old.
yeah.
You're on Instagram. You've got a very good Instagram presence, but it's still interesting that's where
it's an old-fashioned way of doing it. And it's not about selling vast amounts of vehicles. We couldn't keep up with them. So it's about building vehicles correctly and being proud of the ones we do build.
Yeah. So I know that a lot of them are, as we said, sort of beach runners or holiday vehicles.
Yeah.
Have you taken any of them off-road, or have any of your clients taken them off-road, or do you do any off-roading?
No, not anymore, is the honest answer. We do get pictures every now and again where clients are taking them down a dirty track. That's about as much as they see. Obviously, being Norfolk, there are lots of little back roads and.
Well, you've got a green lane.
We've got a green lane right next to
us,
us, which is a brilliant little test track. Look, we will do that, but as far as off-roading goes, haven't the time.
No.
And there's nothing worse than fixing your own vehicle. So.
That's very true.
When I was younger, in my 20s, I used to love off-roading.
Yeah, and I imagine if you brought one of your broken Land Rovers in here from off-roading, it'll probably be to the end of the workshop.
It'll never get done. It'll be off the road and it'll never get fixed. So we leave that alone. Now it's all about enjoying a lifestyle. That's what it's.
Yeah.
They've shifted a long way, but that's where it is, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I know a lot of people still hankering that they should be sort of still farm vehicles, but you do have a TD5 up there that is a farm vehicle.
Oh yeah, we still have farm vehicles too. But it's very rare farms have them nowadays. They get sick of repairing them. That's the reality.
Yeah. And imagine if you're sat there with a Land Rover that's now worth 30 grand, you could quite easily chip that in and get something.
Let's say
a bit more.
5-6 years ago, a lot of the farm vehicles did disappear. They upgraded them with Japanese cars.
Yeah.
For that reason, that the market grew, and again they were sick of repairing them. That's the reality.
Yeah.
We had some vehicles that belonged to gamekeepers, and we were having them weekly. And it was putting bushes and brakes in them weekly.
Yeah.
Because of the abuse they took.
Yeah. Well, good for business.
So I think they put them all on quads now and things like that. So that'll teach them.
Send them out with different things. I think I've just noticed. Is that your Discovery 1? That's part of
that. Is the remnants of a Discovery 1. Unfortunately, one we can't. That one there isn't my personal one. Well, it is one of my personal ones, but that's one we can't save. Unfortunately.
No.
Too rotten.
Oh dear. Yeah.
Or haven't got time to save.
Yeah, I think there is definitely a point where you do have to call it. There are some times that you could just keep going forever, isn't it?
But again, it'll live again. The parts will come off it.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll all get recycled. With the vehicles we build, I think we are recycling. Is probably the wrong word, but we are. They're living again. We're not just throwing every single part of it new. We use as much as we can of the original car. So we're kind of doing a little bit for the world in our own way.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a good thing to do, isn't it? To keeping the old cars going. It's definitely a lot less net than one of these, isn't it? The brand new car with lithium batteries, or the engines in those where they're compact and bolted in. You can't get your hands on either side. So I think it's definitely good to keep them going.
But again, back to what we were saying earlier about upcoming projects.
Yeah.
Interesting ones. So we've got some series 2s and 3s we're going to be building soon. They're going to be running Ford EcoBoost engines.
Oh, that'd be cool.
So 1.6. Also lots of Rover V8s.
Nice.
They're kind of making a bit of a comeback now. People are wanting the Rover again.
Sounds good.
Sounds amazing. They're not overly powerful, but they're more than powerful enough for a Land Rover.
Yeah. Well, so an EcoBoost engine, how much horsepower would that have in it?
So the ones we're going to fit, they're about 180 in the standard tune, which is more than enough for a little series.
Yeah, considering what a 2.3 is 60 horsepower.
Yeah, that's it. And the biggest, no matter what you do, under 100 was, oh god no. So 180 would be perfect. I think the V8s are running about 160.
Yeah,
which is again respectable.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much we upgrade the vehicle, the brakes, the suspension, it's still a beam axle. So it's going to come to a corner. It's got two choices. So I'm going to go round it or off it. So too much power is not a good thing.
No, definitely not. With the understeer these have. But
yeah.
Well, I suppose you don't have. You've got power steering, though, don't you? So I mean that adds.
Yeah, the power steering does make a huge difference how they drive.
Yeah, where I've been going around the corner on my series and sort of pulling the steering wheel
Hanging
down,
on.
hanging, yeah,
That's
window out the side, hooking on, and yeah.
Well, the set you've got all those extra ball joints, so all that movement there and the whole thing shaking.
Yeah, you will make it around the corner.
That's all part of the fun, though.
Well, these would be very interesting products, and it will definitely be interesting to see what they sound like.
Yeah.
Particularly the say turbo deco boosts. I mean, turbos aren't new to a Defender, but
No, and say the
sound
EcoBoost is commonly being fitted in Defender now. We've done a few, brilliant conversion. But again, I think the series is more our market.
Yeah.
We're trying to get away from what everybody else is doing and just try and do our own thing, really.
Yeah, I think it was definitely be interesting to hear and see what they sound like.
Yeah.
It'd be very cool.
You'll have to come and have a go with them.
Well, yeah, if I'm invited, I will happily come and try out some turbo EcoBoost Defender.
But yeah, they'll be really interesting, and from a compliance point of view, they should be compliant for London as well, which is a big
thing. They'll be in ULEZ.
Should be ULEZ. Yeah, the ULEZ thing's getting quite big now. We're getting a lot of inquiries.
Yeah, I can imagine. I get if you say have like the Range Rover in the centre of London, it's probably quite different to popping in and out for prices. But yeah, I still find it not amusing, but mildly amusing what things are technically ULEZ compliant. I think I've saw a V8. I don't know if it was just the wrong advert. I think I saw a V8 Defender or something that someone was saying was ULEZ compliant. No, really? Is it?
Yeah, I think there's some cleverness going on somewhere to make them. But
yeah. Oh, here's I think is it Seen Through Glass has got a Audi RS. Audi RS, and I think his is ULEZ compliant. You're like sucking great big V10 Audi or whatever it is. You're like, that really ULEZ compliant? But apparently so.
That's beyond me. That's what we're heading in Norfolk. We don't have to get involved in it.
Yeah. No, that'd be very good. And yeah, interesting that there'll be sort of ULEZ compliant ones. So as we sort of start to wrap up, is there anything else that you'd like to talk about or anything else for you?
Yeah, so I guess the main thing we'd really like to say is just to keep an eye on what we're doing. It'd be nice to have some more followers on Instagram and various social media platforms.
And your Instagram tag is?
Hayward Revive.
Yeah.
Search Hayward Revive, or Old Landers Never Die.
Yeah.
And that will come up. It'd be nice for people to see what we're doing. I think we're doing things properly, doing something a little bit different. We're definitely not putting big V8s in Defenders. Not our market.
No, big V8s in series.
Big V8s in series.
Much for life.
But so it'd be nice for people to engage and see what we're doing.
Yeah.
If people ever want to call by and see vehicles, it's always nice. That's the good thing nowadays. Thing with Instagram and that, we do get a lot of people contact us to, say they're in Norfolk, can they pop in and see us?
Yeah.
Which the doors are always open.
I never know. See what's on stock consignment, or see some examples of
some
see
something a little bit different. There's a lot we don't put on Instagram.
Yeah.
A lot of vehicles clients don't necessarily want us to share. But if anyone wants to call them any time, feel free.
Yeah, perfect. And if anyone else is interested, it's on Instagram, Hayward Revive, and then you can also Google Hayward Revive and you guys will come up, won't you?
That's correct, yeah.
Right at the top.
Hopefully, yes.
You do.
Hopefully there's no more Revives doing it.
Yeah. Well, perfect. Thank you very much for this, and it's been a pleasure to come down. I think I'm going to hang around and get some shots and some videos, which will also be up on YouTube. So make sure you head over and check those out afterwards. Once again, thank you for having us down.
Thank you, Will.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
It's really good. Well, thank you for making it to the end of the podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, if you did, there's now reviews on all platforms, so please drop us one. Anything on Spotify, Apple Music, or anything like that is perfect. Some things going on is I talked about in this was a little while ago, maybe getting a sports car, which I now have in the form of a Triumph Spitfire, which we're uploading videos weekly on that, about the work that's being done when I got it and a reveal of it. So make sure you head over to YouTube and check those out. We also have new stock coming in as always. So we've got a fantastic grey Defender 110 Puma, which is awesome and going live this weekend. And we've also got another Land Rover coming in and another Land Rover and loads of other things. So the list is getting quite long to list, but make sure you head over to our website, www.utopiarestorations.co.uk, and check out all our new stock. And I will see you guys next week with another podcast, which I'm going to hold on telling you about, and you can wait till next week to find out. So yeah, thank you very much for this one, and see you soon.